Hello, this is Steven Allen, and yes, we're back with another Batman 66 episode review, and today, Batman, Robin, and Batgirl will be going up against King Tut. So without any further ado, let's pop into the review. We begin this episode with Bruce and Barbara seemingly coming back from uh, a date, and I gotta be honest, I never found, honestly, Bruce Wayne or Barbara Gordon to have any sort of chemistry. And that kind of goes the same with Batman and Batgirl. Of course, that was the type of thing, was trying to build any, romantic connection, but I never got that. I honestly felt that it was incredibly forced. But every time Batgirl was with Robin, and even when, with that, I honestly felt that the two had, honestly, better chemistry. And, and that's kind of where I'm pretty sure I personally came with the idea of Robin should have been, or at least Dick should have been with Batgirl, which was Barbara at the time. But anyway, back to the review. Just as they are just as they're in the car, they decide to watch the news, where they find out that someone has been giving out predictions for possible robberies, and it turns out the person giving these predictions is King Tut, and he says that the next robbery will happen as soon as he finished the end of his sentence. We then cut to seeing the robbery being taken place. With that, Bruce Wayne makes an excuse how he has to see the board, has a board meeting, and Barbara understands and asks if she could be let off at her hair salon just as they're driving by, and of course he agrees to. Just as that happens, he then gets a call from Dick, who's just had the call from Gordon about the thing, and informs him how King Tut had his head hit. Well, technically the professor did, and as a result he's reverted back to King Tut, and this must mean there's a criminal scheme is happening. We then do the usual opening credits, and we go to Police Commissioner Gordon's office, where they reveal his hideout is basically a tent at this park, and as a result Batman and Robin go there. When we get to the tent, we get to see Victor Bravano in his King Tut performance. And I gotta admit, this time around, he's a bit more unhinged and more completely bonkers. And I like to think every time he gets the more hit on the head, he's getting a little bit more crazy. Just as Batman and Robin get there, King Tut reveals his next prediction where the robbery is to take place. Batman realizes, of course, with this information, as duly deputized agents of the law, they must look into it. As a result, they go and leave. King Tut then says that that's enough prediction for today, and everyone leaves. It is, of course, then revealed that the whole thing is a ploy to get the confidence of the Gotham City Police Department, and also a scheme to finally take down Batman and Robin once and for all. We then get the scene of Batman and Robin rolling up to the King Tut's prediction and flaunt the crime in progress. However, it turns out the whole thing was a distraction. While they were fighting off the criminals that were pursuing the crime, an innocent bystander, not so innocent, plants a bug on the Batmobile. After the fight, the police roll up and apprehend the hoods. Batman and Robin then drive back to the Batcave, where it turns out King Tut has traced the device on the Batmobile and has found out that the Batcave is underneath Wayne Manor. He then comes to the logical conclusion that Batman and Robin are really Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson. He then calls up so-called Wayne Manor to gloat over the phone that he's found out their identities. And the only way he'll be proven wrong is if he sees both Batman and Bruce Wayne at the same time. We then get the scene of Batman and Robin checking the Batmobile for a possible bug, and they do find it. We then cut back to King Tut at his tent along with Bruce Wayne, and he reveals to the public that Batman and Bruce Wayne are one and the same person. However, Bruce Wayne says, "We are not the same person, would you like to be Batman?" As they go outside the tent, they see the Batmobile with Batman and Robin. And I like how first King Tut's in denial, but he has to concede that he was wrong. And when they leave, and just before everyone leaves, and just before Bruce Wayne leaves, he reveals a line: "He who has once lost has had it." Now this is being also presented on the news, and Barbara also hears that line and decides to do some research about it. And just as that's happening, Bruce Wayne has also heard it and goes back to the Batcave. It's then revealed that King Tut's real plan is to break into the Gotham City Library and steal all these fabulous scrolls, but he needs people to be distracted. We then cut back to the Batcave we cut back to the Batcave, where Bruce has slid down the bat poles along with Alfred. Finally, Alfred gets to slide down the bat poles. It's so fun. We also find out that the fake Batman was actually a dummy, and that the car was, programmed to drive by itself, and of course there was some ventriloquism used. With that, Batman has managed to deduce the line must mean that King Tut is after the scrolls. They then head to the Gotham City Library, but King Tut is making his escape and steals the scrolls. But they manage to save an innocent victim from being tied in this ancient tradition who could possibly suffocate to death. It is revealed that the police weren't on guard for the scrolls, because of one of King Tut's predictions says there will be a mass prison breakout with all the big bads, the Riddler, Egghead, and the Siren being one of the many people to possibly break out. And Batman says the police must guard that place. Who knows, it could play into King Tut, whether it's real or not, it must be looked into. We then cut to King Tut back at his hideout, where he has these scrolls which were to reveal a possible hidden location of a so-called statue. Whoever possesses it possesses the universe. However, just before he's about to leave, a Batgirl arrives, and he orders his men to fight her, but she makes quick short of them. However, she is quickly knocked out by his fellow female accomplice. Just as they're about to make their escape, Batman and Robin turn up and beat King Tut and more of his henchmen. They then check on Batgirl, and she's fine. And it turns out the reason why Batman and Robin managed to get here is because she placed a trail at the library to this possible location. Just as they're about to finish up their conversation, King Tut and his men quickly get back up, and Batman, Robin, and Batgirl make swift meets of them. And as usual, Batgirl uses the opportunity to make her escape, and King Tut and his men are all knocked out. We're still wondering who Batgirl really is. We end the episode with King Tut in police headquarters. Now, he didn't receive a bump on the head, so he has not yet reverted back to his old, professor self. And we also see Bruce turns up there to see Barbara. I like how still at the end of the episode, King Tut still firmly believes that Bruce Wayne is still Batman. But he is going to be taken away to get Psyche Val. Just as that's happening, we see a policeman on essentially patrol and notes a car drive by. And it turns out it is a notorious gangster named Louis the Lilac. He brings a call to Commissioner Gordon to reveal he's in town, and Bruce Wayne makes his leave. And that's where we end our cliffhanger with next week's villain. So far, the cast is pretty average and normal. Nothing really changes in so much, not even with Batgirl and Robin. I'm noticing now a pattern that Batgirl is... I find it hard to somehow write her really into the story. And to be fair, Batgirl doesn't become even a player of the story until the end of the episode. But of course, we have to talk about the villain. King Tut is back. Victor Buono is marvelous in the role. He manages to make these lines work. And what I like about it is it's clear that he's getting more and more bonkers as the episode goes on, hinting that possibly getting a hit on the head is affecting him in that way. I will admit, his plan is pretty cool of trying to uncover Batman by these false predictions. And I will admit, it comes out of left field with him really to find this statue. I really wish, but it made sense, as in the previous cliffhanger was clearly after these scrolls, which was to find this so-called statue. Either way, despite the little kink in the plan, it's still a very fun episode, and it mostly just goes to Victor Buono's performance. Also, at the end of the episode, we get to see Louis the Lilac, played by comedy legend Melton Burrow, which we can't wait to see for our next week's villain. Also, what makes it rather interesting is we've actually seen this actor before. He appeared in the Mark Barker episode as one of the guards who was actually on her payroll to guard the prison. So I'm already excited to see what's more with this villain, even though he's one of my favorites. as he was an honorable mention. The unkindest Tut of all is a fun episode. Well, flawed in some places. What makes this episode work is King Tut's magnetic performance, played by Victor Borna, who absolutely is going full out there and fully off the rails. Also, another thing I find interesting, he is now the second villain on the show to find out Batman and Robin's real identity. Even though this is a fun episode, like I said, there's a few gripes. First off, the budget, especially with his hideout, is pretty lame. Though it's revealed because it's inside a tent, I do kind of think they do make it somehow work. Also, I find out Batgirl is really not being really used that well in the story, as she really doesn't come in until the end. And honestly, I really feel that she could have been easily just left out of the plot. But of course, she is a character that was reason for people watching in Season 3, so I get why. But I really wish they could have just written her better in. Other than that, this is a really fun episode. And there we have it. That was the unkindest Tut of all. Don't worry, King Tut will be back for one more round before we're done with the series. But tune in next time with Batman, Robin, and Batgirl will be going up against, for the first time, for Louis the Lilac for the first time. So, this has been the Steven Hour. Tune in next time to the same Steven channel, and so long for now.